right, so I don't have a lot to teach you today. In fact, I have nothing to teach you today. I'm just going to remind you of some stuff that you already know. So we have 3 words that we know very well. Speed. What are the other words? Distance. Distance and time. All right. So as long as you know one of the equations, you can work out all of the others because it's just moving things around. Speed equals what? Good. Distance over time. If I was going to rearrange this equation, how would I get distance by itself? Right. So I just bring this across as a multiplication. If I wanted to get time by itself, what would I do? Right, bring this across over as a division. So, let's focus. The only one I remember in my head is this one. Right, and then I just rearrange them all. Right, if you remember all of them in your head, that's fantastic. But as long as you know one, you can work them all out. Yes, there is a triangle version which gives you this. I don't like to teach it because I think it makes you picture a triangle rather than manipulate equations. But if you already know it, that's fine, but I'm not going to bother going through it. All you have to do is know one of these equations, and as long as you only have one unknown, you are all good to go. Hi, Mrs. Stewart. Do you need someone? Sorry? Oh, I haven't seen her. She's the new teacher who's going to take over from Mr. Hull while they're having a baby. Mr. Hull. So does anyone remember Mrs. Francis?
Yeah.
She's coming back to take over for Mrs. Hull for the rest of the year. She's going to teach lower maths, and Miss Hegarty is going to teach Mr. Hull's classes while they're away. Yeah. She arrives tomorrow? Yeah. She arrives tomorrow. Mrs. Francis is coming back. Yeah. Well, like temporarily, she's going to cover Mrs. Hull's classes. So she'll be staying until the whole schedule. All right. Okay, you can talk about it later. Let me just finish this. So there's one more thing I just want to remind you of. Oh, let me get a different color. All right. If I have a graph and I have, let's say that I'm going to call this distance and this time. Often, so I would say almost exclusively, time is on the x-axis, all right? So you tend to think about time moving across in this direction. So we tend to put it here, and then whatever the other thing is, we tend to put on the y-axis. So try and think of time being here, which means if you are looking for, let's say that I have a graph that does this, and I'm looking for the speed. Think about the graph. What do you think the speed is actually going to be on the graph? The slope. So the speed is actually the gradient. Right? Exactly. Because it's distance over time, isn't it? Rise over run. So you can think about it like a practical application of a graph, okay? So if you have a distance time graph and they ask you for the speed, they're asking you for the gradient. I mean, you should be able to work out its distance over time anyway from this sort of stuff, but that is your little shortcut. Speed is the gradient of a distance time graph. All right, we're going to do more complicated graphs next lesson, but for this lesson, we just need to think about, nope, not in this topic. We just need to think about distance, speed, and time.